We in the House refer to our colleagues in the Senate as the less numerous body. And
I'd say more luminous.
so my two colleagues here have done a very good job of giving an overview, especially of the proposal that they put forward on a bipartisan basis, the Marketplace Virginia proposal. What I would like to do is to spend just a couple of minutes looking at this proposal and the idea of expanding Medicaid from the perspective of an appropriator. As I mentioned earlier, I'm on the Appropriations Committee and the Health Subcommittee. And the touchstone of budgeting in Virginia is guided by the fact that we have to get to zero. Under the Constitution, we have to have a balanced budget every year. What this means, coupled with Virginia's inherent fiscal conservatism, is that the programs that you see represented on this slide that are funded from the general fund are under constant stress. Let me give you a couple of examples. The dark red wedge there is higher education. Our public colleges and universities are among the best system of any state in the nation, but they're under constant stress. One of the things we've experienced over the past 10 or 15 years is an increase in tuition that was required by the fact that our state support through the general fund to these public colleges and universities has decreased so much, to the point where most state college and university budgets are no more than 10% provided through the state. The rest of it is made up from research grants, from tuition, from other sources. We're shortchanging our colleges and universities, and this is the effect. The second, the biggest wedge there is direct aid to public education, to our K through 12 schools. We do a very, very miserly job of supporting this in a number of respects. And I'll give you one example. 2 years ago, it was brought to my attention by a constituent that students who were blind and visually impaired did not have access to special education teachers to teach them Braille, mobility education, and so on in the schools. The reason is that the blind and vision impaired were not provided for in the standards of quality as other students with disabilities were. Everyone knew that this was the wrong thing to do. Nevertheless, because it had a dollar figure attached to it, a pretty modest dollar figure, $5 million a year, we simply didn't have the money to do the right thing and provide special education teachers for the blind and vision impaired. I was able to get a budget amendment in that Governor McDonald put forward, and we do provide that now. But for years and years we haven't been able to because we run such a tight ship. One of the orange categories there is health and human resources, and a major portion of that, which Senator Favola referred to, is mental health. After the tragedy in Virginia Tech in the middle of the last decade, we put additional money into mental health services. But then, as the Great Recession hit, we drew back on that money. And it took another tragedy, one involving a member of the family of one of our colleagues. It took that to refocus attention on that and to put the money back in that we need to have for mental health services across the state. So this is what it's going to mean to have Medicaid expansion. It's going to ease up the pressure on all of these services that we provide through the general fund. It's estimated that I think the figure is as much as $150 million a year is going to come back to the Commonwealth that will ease up pressure on these services. It's vitally important for us to be the kind of Commonwealth that we want to be, to have this kind of funding. And so I think this is another reason it's so important that we proceed on Medicaid expansion.
And let me just say,